Hey guys, it's Mei-Ō. Now that we're deep in the Odin flashback, and we've seen the reaction of Roger and his crew finding the One Piece, I had sort of an epiphany, and it's about the Void Century and what we know about the Void Century compared to the mysteries that it still holds. The Void Century seems like it's gonna play a huge part once the One Piece is found. But what will that information contain? So I'm gonna go ahead and dive in and try to give my own theory about the Void Century. If you're interested in this topic, I also will be expanding upon it in my next two videos, so you can sort of consider this a part one out of 3 parts. So to stay tuned, just subscribe and let's get on to the video. The Void Century, as we know, is the ancient kingdom that was deemed the strongest in history. From the information that we could gather, we sort of found out that the Void Century is something that the world government doesn't want a lot of people to know. And this information that they don't want people to know is something that I feel is the reason why Roger laughed. It seems like Imu has a whole huge plan, but views Luffy and Blackbeard as a major threat. I will be talking about Imu, or at least more about Imu, in a different video, which will also tie in with this video. But the information that we know right now is that Imu is controlling the government. Gorosei tries to pretend like there's no one ruler. But as we found out recently in the Reverie, that there is sort of a supreme ruler over all. Now, what does this say about everything and about the Void Century? Well, I've came to a conclusion that it's sort of separated into 2 categories. These 2 categories, which is the information and Laugh Tale, I feel like they play a huge role on the theory I have for the Void Century. So far, what we've seen from the Ohara incident is the major, or at least the bulk of what we know. During this incident, Clover, who was a character that was deemed so wise, brave, and honest, said something so valuable. The things that he mentioned seemed to sort of strike a nerve to the Gorosei. It was the information of the ancient kingdom and why the government doesn't want people to know. They fear that if people knew about that information, it will crumble the whole entire system that they have built. But let's talk about the poneglyphs, because that's something major that Dr. Clover ends up mentioning. That the poneglyphs were created by a certain clan, a clan that we now know was the people of Wano. They created the poneglyphs as a source of information because they knew, or they were told, that an opposing force will try to remove any sort of information about this ancient kingdom. Now, how does Odin, his lineage, and Wano play a factor? Well, I believe that before the ancient kingdom was destroyed, Joy Boy decided to do something very brave and wise. And that was to distribute pieces of major situations that happened during the Void Century that will bring together a force that will be capable of stopping the world government. But why? Why would Joy Boy give this information to the people of Wano specifically? Well, I feel like the major connection between Joy Boy and the people of Wano go deeper than we know. So much so, it is similar to the connection between Odin and Roger and Luffy and Momonosuke. This connection seems to have been stemmed from something that also happened in the Void Century. Something that's also involving the voice of all things. This connection is something else that I will be talking about in another video that I'm actually quite surprised that no one has actually thought of, or at least I believe no one has thought of. Now, Laugh Tale plays a huge part in the Void Century. It seems like we find out that the One Piece that Roger found, all of his treasure, is actually something that was previously Joy Boy's. The treasure and what is on that island was all Joy Boy. But how would this all happen? The ability that Joy Boy has or had seemed to be very unique. This information that Joy Boy left on Laugh Tale is what I believe caused Roger to laugh. Roger probably laughed because the information was so ridiculous, so outlandish, that it seemed unreal. So unreal that Roger and his crew thought it was funny. What is this? What could this information possibly be? I feel like the information was talking about the ancient kingdom and how advanced it was in technology, in power, in knowledge. Also, it represents something bigger than that. The ancient kingdom was something that I believe is the real dream of Roger and Luffy. The ancient kingdom is a society or community or a land filled with each and every race. It is a nation that end up being far superior than any other nation. And that is where I believe the Straw Hats come into play. The Straw Hats seem to be a major key to the ancient kingdom. The Straw Hat seems to have played a bigger role than we probably first believed. The reason why Luffy's straw hat has been passed down is probably based on something bigger than we actually know. I feel like the straw hat, at least the straw hat that we know of, is a form of brotherhood. Now, what do I mean by this? Back during the reverie, when Emu goes into a chamber, a locked chamber, he goes to a specific door. Through this door, there are 9 rooms. And in these 9 rooms, there's only one that Emu chose to go to. And that room that he chose to go in had a bigger straw hat. I feel like the 9 rooms are referring to the 9 different races that we see throughout the One Piece story. That each leader of each race was given a symbol of the ancient kingdom and a straw hat. Now, what is that symbol? It is a symbol of a sun. Something that we've been seeing a lot in different occasions. There was one in Skypiea, there's one in Wano. But I believe it goes further than that. The symbol of the Sun Pirates seems to be also sort of a derivative of that pattern. And I believe that we're going to find out that the giant race has it as well. Each race most likely has it. And that will sort of resemble their brotherhood. But that's why Emu is keeping it in secret, because he doesn't want the world to know that there was a nation that prospered so much and that had a multiple race in that nation. I believe that towards the ending of the Wano arc, leading to the next arc, whether it's the Elbath arc or the final war, we are going to find out more about the other race that we haven't seen or heard of yet. We're going to end up hearing more information about the Void Century as well. And this is where Toki is going to play a bigger part on what's happening. Toki will end up telling us a little bit more information about what happened prior to the world government taking over and why Wano ended up closing its border to the world. What do you guys think about the topic? Like I said before, this is part 1 out of 3 videos. So subscribe and I'll catch you in the next One Piece video.